Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Drive-Thru Wrestling. My name is Jake.
And I'm Tommy. I'm proud of you. You got drive-through this time instead of drive-by.
Instead of drive... I don't know what I was thinking with drive-by.
Roman Reigns, your favorite wrestler.
Yeah, he does do that drive-by, doesn't he? I don't like that it's called drive-by.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's a cool move, though.
Yeah.
But
anyway, this is Drive-Thru Wrestling.
And we have a lot to talk about. We have our first actual, real, full... jam-packed week of wrestling because we had
a pay-per-view special event. Excuse me,
pay-per-view.
We had our pay-per-view. We had Raw, Smackdown, NXT, and CWC.
We had what was the pay-per-view called?
Battleground.
That's right.
Backdraft.
Backlash is a thing.
Yeah.
As we'll come to find out later on in the podcast.
See, Battleground isn't one that I grew up with, so it's like still hard for me to remember what it's called.
Yeah, you're thinking it should be like Great American Bash or something like that.
Yeah. It should be something else.
We started off Battleground with the pre-show anyways. We started with the Usos versus Breezango. As we said in the pre-show to this, in the actual podcast, we weren't really excited for it, and just as it came to pass, it wasn't exciting.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you who won. I think it was Breezango because...
No, the Usos.
Usos won.
I think.
See, we don't even know who won that match.
Right, and we were like trying to keep up on these things. We just didn't care about that match.
Not at all.
The way we kicked off the night was with Charlotte and Dana Brooke versus Sasha and... Who was it, Tom, who came out with Sasha?
It was Bayley.
It was Bayley, like we wished.
Surprisingly. I was surprised that WWE did something that fans wanted.
It was such a perfect way to start off as I'll continue to call it, pay-per-view. Because it was something we all wanted, and it was such a huge surprise to start off the night. They couldn't have done it better, honestly.
I'm just glad it wasn't Eva Marie.
Hey.
Which I thought...
You thought it would be.
I really did think it was going to be Eva Marie.
And later on in the week, another little thing for later, we did get to see Eva Marie. And I don't mind seeing Eva Marie.
Thank God we did get to see her.
I love to see her. She was also, she was really all about, letting us see her, too.
Yeah.
When we saw her.
It was interesting.
I like to see more. I think I'm going to go see Eva Marie later. What else do we have? We have, in no particular...
We can talk about the women's match?
Yeah, we can. We can talk about that. What'd you think of Bayley with the group of girls? Did she hold up with?
Yeah, I mean, she's wrestled with those girls before, right, NXT. Yeah. So, I mean, they put on a really good match because they've, wrestled together before and all came up together.
I'm happy that it wasn't a botch fest. When people get really excited, they can either just shine or just completely fizzle out when they get up there. Mm-hmm. And of course she's had big high priority matches what are the things called they do before SummerSlam and WrestleMania, the nights before. They're always as good if not better than the Saturday night thing. I don't know what they're called, but they're always really good, and she's always shined in those, and I thought she shined in this. So
yeah, kudos to all the girls, women, I guess I should call them. But it was a really good match leading up to a great match on Raw.
Yes. Then I think we had after that, it was the New Day versus the Wyatts. Mm-hmm. What did you think of that one?
It was kind of inconsequential match. Nothing was on the line. It was coming to the head of this rivalry they've had, the end of this story. And it was a pretty good end to the story. The Wyatts are being split up, so there isn't going to be that kind of rivalry between them. I
thought it was cool with with Austin. I always want to say Austin because that's what the name he goes by. Xavier. Yeah. It's really good to see him actually stand out in the match because usually he's just the guy that pops in and cheats really quick for him. But
he really held his own.
Yes, he did.
He went into that trance a couple times when Bray put him in somehow, and then he finally broke free of it, and he ended up losing the match. Bray ended up pinning him, but he still put up a heck of a fight against the guy like Bray Wyatt.
This match really made me think two things. besides that the two teams are great, it made me think, all right, I think I'm ready, as much as I love the New Day, I'm ready for whoever's going to stand out of the New Day, probably Big E, to get his time to shine by himself. And more than anything, I'm ready for Bray to shine. I'm ready for Bray to take a main event spot. He's great in everything he does, and his character is phenomenal. He needs to have that push that The Undertaker got. I like to compare the two, and everyone else who knows who Bray Wyatt is knows why I compare the two. His whole magic and stuff needs to be more than just scaring the people before the matches. I think he needs to use that more.
You think it needs to be more in like Attitude Era, whereas like this guy actually has demonic
He's trying to escape,
powers.
so he goes like this and blows the firewall into his escape path.
I don't think WWE is going to do that because we're in the reality era, and only certain people get away with stuff like that.
But we're not in the reality era anymore.
Oh, we're in the new era.
Yes, we are now in the new era, which has already happened once, actually. The new breed, the new era. But I guess if we want to talk about that, something that this pay-per-view in particular really started off was what I think would be the real kick of the new era.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm getting tired of hearing him say the new era. It's getting annoying, but
it is getting annoying to have it thrust down our throats. But it's very true.
It is.
Everything this
I
week
agree.
felt different than anything else we've seen ever. We'll get more into that later, but as for the next match, I think it was Natalya versus Becky Lynch. After that, I'm not really sure on the order. We did write them down, though. Natalya won. That was kind of, I think, the slowest match of the night for me.
not a surprise to either one of us, actually. We both said that Natalya was going to win that one.
We did both say that. I don't know. I want Becky Lynch and I want Natalya to both thrive in wrestling, but I don't... You would think that they would put on a really fun show together, but it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't that great.
You think Natalya's getting close to retirement with Tyson being
I hope not, but
semi-retired,
but it
or
makes sense.
injured beyond repair?
His neck is broke to did.
I don't think he's coming back. He's optimistic, but it sounds like he's not coming back to wrestle.
I would love to see the guy wrestle again.
Yeah.
I love Natty and I love TJ. They're the only thing in Total Divas that I can stand to watch. I don't like anybody else on that show. I love Daniel Bryan, but every time I watch the show, I'm like, okay, I don't want to watch this because it'll ruin Daniel Bryan for me. To know what he's like in real life.
Daniel Bryan is one of the better parts of Total Divas because he's always making fun of Nikki.
Yeah, that's funny. John Cena, I guess I like John Cena a lot.
Yeah, John Cena's good in Total Divas too.
When's John Cena not good? Don't kill me. What else did we have? Well, we had John Cena with Enzo and Cass versus The Club. What'd you think of them?
It was the last time we'll see them all together. I know that for sure.
Yeah. Well, you don't think The Club will ever come help AJ?
That would be in their character to do.
Yeah.
Just jump shows and come help AJ out.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. I actually don't hope it doesn't happen.
Especially for SummerSlam.
Yeah, right away I hope it doesn't happen just because I like to see the two brands stay two brands as long as possible.
Well, I mean, not only that, but I hope that this rivalry ends between Cena and AJ after SummerSlam. Not that it's bad by any means, but you know how too much of something good leads to bad? I think if you hold on to something great like that and don't let it go and maybe come back to it later, it's not going to be as great.
But yeah, Enzo and Cass had a pretty good segment promo before the match started. Really funny. Got John Cena involved.
Which one was that? What were they talking about on that
They
one?
just came out and were talking crap on the club and
Yeah.
like they always do. It was
Yeah.
pretty funny. But yeah, the club came out. I found it interesting. It just said AJ Styles when they came out. Did you notice it said AJ Styles? Didn't say the club. Didn't say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I didn't even notice that. No, that's terrible.
Yeah.
No love for those guys.
Those other the guys. Carl Anderson and Festus.
Yes, and Festus.
But yeah, that was a good match. I believe Enzo and Cass and Cena won.
Yes, they did. That was pretty good. Anytime seeing those guys all cheer and Enzo just unleash and do his like craziness, it's I love it.
He actually had more in-ring time than most matches in that match.
Yeah, Enzo's in-ring style is much like, I always compare it to Shawn Michaels. He just gets his butt kicked the entire match, and then by some force of God, which is kind of like an old school wrestling thing, some force of God, he gets a little bit of strength left to do a finisher or to finish off the match.
Or to tag in a bigger guy.
Or to tag in Cass to throw him at somebody. Yeah.
That's my favorite thing, is that the way Cass uses Enzo as a battering ram, and even John Cena got into it. John Cena was throwing Enzo around.
Well, Cass is, if you look at both of the guys, Cass's finishing move is called the missile launcher. Is it the rocket launcher when he throws Enzo for the slam?
I don't know what it's called.
Rocket launcher or missile launcher or something.
Fastball special where I come from.
Right. But Enzo's special is called tag in Cass and get thrown. Because it doesn't count as the same thing, because he's not doing the same thing. We had 3 championship matches as well on top of everything else. We had a U.S. championship match with Rusev versus Zack Ryder. Okay match. The ending was really cool, the way they teased Ryder.
Yeah.
Remember he was in the camel clutch?
Yeah, and they let him break it momentarily.
Almost broke it. Like, he almost came out of it, and then just like last year, or was it 2 years ago when we were just cheering on
Cena?
No, not Cena. Jack Swagger. Jack Swagger.
Yeah.
Like, every time you're like, come on, Jack, you're gonna do it this time. Nope, you're not gonna do it.
I think they're really giving Ryder a decent push.
I hope so, man. I really do.
Letting him look that strong against Rusev really helped, and he later on, during Smackdown, he had a pretty good showing.
He did. He really did. Another championship match we had on the other end of things was the IC Intercontinental Championship match, The Miz versus Darren Young.
Which had the most confusing ending of a wrestling match I've seen in a long time.
You pointed that out because I didn't really care. And then you said it, and I was like, okay, this is BS.
Because none of the competitors made contact with anyone from outside of the ring, and there was a disqualification.
Right. That's not kosher. That doesn't make sense.
So I don't even understand why the bell was rung. And
well, I think didn't Miz hit Backlund?
Miz pushed Backlund,
but it takes Backlund pushing Miz.
I would think so, and
I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure. If you can explain to us why the finish was the way it was, and cite sources in the history of WWE.
So, yes, citing sources is imperative. Otherwise, you'll be shunned.
But yeah, it was weird. I really did think both championships were going to swap.
Oh, that would have been really cool. We did talk about that,
but they didn't. They stayed where they were.
I didn't see letting Rusev lose.
That would kind of
amid this new era thing. I think, like I said, I think last week, Rusev is one of the guys who gets a really big push and becomes a pretty big, nasty bad guy.
Yeah, that would have really killed his rush or his
for Zack Ryder to come out of nowhere and beat him. Yeah, I would have to have Zack Ryder pull some sort of shenanigans to beat him.
I do like Zack Ryder in the Intercontinental Championship hunt over on SmackDown.
I hope this continues. Yes, I hope he gets another match at SummerSlam. I don't think that there's anything that's happened yet.
Nothing yet for the IC title yet.
We'll get to that with SmackDown. We had, of course, an amazing main event, the Shield Triple Threat match. We had the return of Roman Reigns, who got just as many boos as I thought he would.
If not more.
Yeah, probably more. We had Seth Rollins, who, had been over and over exclaiming that Roman Reigns had no business in this match. And then, of course, we had our champion, Dean Ambrose, who everyone here was cheering for, I believe. We were all excited. I think no matter what happened, we would have been happy as long as Roman didn't win. If
Pretty
Roman
much.
would have won using heel tactics, I still would have been really excited, actually.
Yeah, if he would have turned, or not even turned, just cheated to win,
Yeah.
that would have been okay with me. But if he would have cleanly won, been no good for anyone.
But instead, what happened, because we had all said here at the Nerd Buffet headquarters, we had all said that I think you agreed too. Seth and I at least agreed.
We all said shenanigans.
Well, we all said shenanigans, but we were sure that Seth and Dean were going to like simultaneously pin Roman.
Yeah, double.
And they were going to split the titles. That's how that'd be done. But instead,
that's not what happened.
No, not at all. Instead, the match finished with Roman looking like a fool. He ate the finish from Seth. He had him with the pedigree, and then he went down. He bent over to pin Roman, and Dean just came back in and grabbed him and dirty deeds him. And it was the other way around. I'm saying Seth. Roman gave Seth the spear. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And then Dean pinned Roman with the dirty deeds. I almost got that all mixed up, and I apologize. But Roman was the one to lose. Still.
Yeah, Roman got pinned.
But so that's part one. Well, not even part one. That's one of the parts for now, for this week, of Roman's punishment. I mean, what did you think of that match? Was that crazy to you too? I thought I erupted inside of me. I was like, "Yay! My guy won clean. He freaking won." There was no shenanigans at the end. Dean won. He was the better.
Very refreshing on a pay-per-view to see a championship match go without any shenanigans.
Yeah. Especially a triple threat.
Yeah.
When was the last time you see a triple threat with no shenanigans whatsoever?
I mean, Seth did get a chair out at one point.
But Seth's a bad guy. I mean, that's fair.
Right. It's not fair.
Well, yeah, it is.
Within the confines of the rules of a triple threat, I guess technically it's fair.
We didn't have Triple H come
sporting.
out. Yeah, we didn't have Triple H come out. We didn't have anybody that's part of that whole group come out and help him, which, I mean, I guess they're kind of disbanded now. But nobody came out and ruined the match. There was no fourth man at all. So good job, WWE. We're proud of you, at least.
It was a very good way to end this old era. I'm not going to say old era. End the pre-brand extension. It was a good way to send that off. And
for somebody who was so judgmental with having the Shield triple threat this early, or this late, as Tom said last time, it happened. I know my guy won, so it sounds like bias, but it was a really good match, and it was a really good way to finish it off. The guy that nobody thought would win ended up being, as they said over and over again, who's the best guy in the Shield? He ended up being the winner, fair and square.
Okay, so after Battleground, we come up to Monday Night Raw.
And man, I gotta say before we go on, this is, to my knowledge, this is my favorite episode of Raw, ever. Yeah, there's a lot of things that happened that were awesome on Raw that are always going to be memorable, like one scene or like 1 hour of Raw. This was the best start to finish Raw in my memory, and I don't know, maybe you need to watch it again. I've watched it twice actually, so
it was really good.
Yeah.
Lot of stuff a lot of things happened that put into motion events that are going to happen in the future for quite some time, I think.
Yeah.
To start off the night, we announced that Stephanie came out and announced that there was going to be a new title for Raw, since Roman was a big loser and ruined it for Raw.
He did not Seth. Had nothing to do with Seth. Because that was the funniest thing is they're like, I had it in the bag, even though he was dead. He was looking right next to him dead when the pin happened, But I had it in the bag.
Stephanie blames it all on Roman, says, Roman, you're a loser. It's your fault. So now we have to have our own title. And they announce the WWE Universal Championship. You don't like that title.
I hate the title. I don't know. I almost want, every time they announce the Universal Champion, I want dun 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 dun. That's the new theme music for the championship.
Because you think of Universal Studios.
Yeah, I think of Universal. Absolutely.
I think it's a way of them kind of one-upping SmackDown. You have the World Heavyweight Championship, or they don't even call it the World Heavyweight Championship.
Here's my 2 cents on this. Okay. If the other title is called the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, I have absolutely no beef with the other one being called the WWE Universal title. But when you add this and say this is the WWE Universal title and this one's just the WWE title, then I have a big problem with it. I don't have any butthurt like that's a stupid name thing with it. That's my issue with it.
Yeah, and I get that. So, in order to decide who is going to be the new champion, we have 2 Fatal 4-Way matches announced. And the winner of each of those matches get to face each other for the opportunity to face Seth Rollins.
Yes. If we can keep doing... And that's, I see what you're saying, is that's ridiculous that Rollins already gets two buys. Like, you're in the match already, Rollins, because, again, as we previously mentioned, you had nothing to do with that, and you had it in the bag. And
might as well have given him the title.
Yeah, yeah. But if we can keep doing these kind of things where we have, like, we get to see the same people in 2 matches in a night, and, like, qualifying for things like this, if we can do this with... is it The Miz that has... No. With Rusev's title.
Yeah.
The U.S. title next week, or we can do something like this and keep this going. Fantastic.
It's cool to see the progression. Like, you actually have to earn a title shot instead of, okay, you get a title shot.
It puts more prestige on the title, is my opinion.
Exactly. So the first Fatal 4-Way match was Cesaro, Rusev, Kevin Owens, and Finn Balor in his first match with WWE on the main roster.
People were into him too.
Big pop when they announced them coming out. There's a funny screenshot I saw on the internet of all the guys like perving on him. Like, well, everyone's like checking him out, like, because he's shorter than everyone else, so they have to look down at him, you know.
Devon, but it's like, I don't know what it is, but his eyes and his lip, like he is.
Yeah,
he almost has like a Festus face.
Yeah, but yeah, that's kind of a funny way I would describe the way the wrestling community is on Finn Balor. You know, just
yeah, I never put those together. That's good.
But anyway, that was a really good match. Cesaro put on a good show.
Oh my god, man,
I love Cesaro,
and he's starting to kind of like, I don't know if it's his character that's doing it or if he's just doing it himself because he's sick of where he's at in the company. But he's kind of doing this thing. He gave that promo, I want to say, after the draft last week.
Where he was disappointed with being on Raw.
Well, he's disappointed with how low he was in the picks.
He wasn't
like the first guy to be picked because I think there's a lot of things that say online that he's like one of the strongest pound-for-pound guys.
Yeah, they say that in commentary all the time, too.
No, I mean, like, I want to say I read something online that he, like, outlifts, like, he used to outlift, like, Kane and Big Show and everybody else.
He would lift pound for pound with Mark Henry.
Jeez,
from what I've read. Like, they would have squat competitions, I guess, and Mark Henry would squat just above what Cesaro could, but pretty much...
Which, by no stretch of the imagination is an equal comparison on the size of these men.
No. With Mark Henry being the world's strongest man and Cesaro being able to keep up with him says a lot for the strength of Cesaro.
Well, he's the Superman.
Yeah, the Swiss Superman.
Swiss Superman. I was going to say Sicilian Superman, but that's just... Because I did watch The Godfather last night, finally. That's why I'm thinking Sicilian. Thank you.
But anyway, Finn Balor won that Fatal 4-Way.
Yes, I was not surprised that he won. But during the match, I was like, man, any one of these guys can win, and it'll be absolutely fine.
So then after that, we took a break from that, and we had Nia Jax had her debut on the main roster. And I know you're not a big fan of Nia Jax, but what's interesting about this match is that it was the first time that I can recall seeing a squash match or an enhancement match for a woman. For a women. Women.
For women. Women.
But yeah, it's the first time I ever saw a squash match for a woman, and it was it was interesting to see her just come out and eat that girl.
He ate her. She's dead.
So that's all there was to that. Just kind of introducing her to the show, I think.
And
people who don't watch NXT, okay, here's this girl. She's strong and she's going to kill people.
And that girl looked, if we're comparing, I know we're two heterosexual males saying this, so by comparison it doesn't really mean anything. But there were 2 squash matches that night, and by comparison, the girl that Nia Jax fought looked much more...
capable.
yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Capable and normal, I think, like human.
Okay, just so what you're talking about is later on in the night, Braun Strowman came out with his own entrance music. It wasn't the Wyatt music.
Yeah.
So he has his own entrance. He's his own person now, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
He's on his own. He shaved the sides of his head.
So he looks scarier.
He looks scarier because he's bald. He's still got the long hair.
He literally looks like the scariest Viking out of all of them.
Yeah, he's a scary dude. But he had a squash match. He came out and the guy he fought
didn't have a chin.
No, didn't have a chin. Was just almost sickly looking.
He looked gross. He looked like, I think Vince was walking in and saw some guy like just sitting outside like doing meth or something, and and Vince is like, "Hey, you want to make a couple bucks?"
The guy just looked scary. Like you said, the girl that Nia Jax fought looked like she would beat that man in a wrestling match.
Yeah. Yep.
So that happened. I think we spent a lot of time on that.
Getting back on track though.
Then after that, the second Fatal 4-Way match. Sheamus, Sami Zayn, Jericho, and Roman Reigns.
Again, any guy could have won the match, but I think we all knew, just like the first match, who probably was going to win.
Yep, and Roman did win.
Yep.
Like we all could guess.
He speared Jericho, right? Mm-hmm. Pinned him, which makes sense. I mean, you keep the other guys up. Well, I mean, I guess Sheamus could have probably won. Sami Zayn looked so good in that match, though.
Sami Zayn really coming into his own in the main roster, especially hopefully with this rivalry with Kevin Owens getting over.
Yeah, let them keep them separate because they both looked great separated, especially Sami Zayn. I can't say enough about. I like Sami Zayn a lot, but in this match, this match, if this was your first episode of Raw, there's no way you didn't leave liking Sami Zayn a little bit.
This match was excellent. Him and Kevin Owens had a good match at Battleground. We didn't talk about that because for some reason, and I feel bad that we completely skipped by that because that was, I would almost say that was, if not the triple threat match at the end, that was the match of the night because there was so much storytelling in that match. Yeah, they went at each other.
God, I feel terrible we didn't talk about it. They even at the end, they had the moment of like he's dead and he's holding him in his arms. He's like, I'm going to do it one more time to you so that you're dead and you know that I won, you know. That was really, really cool that they had that moment. And it was very definitive that we are seeing the last match.
Yeah, this is the last of it.
For now.
And Sami Zayn won that one. And
yes.
Deservedly so, because Kevin Owens isn't hurt by losing that match.
No, and
his popularity's same.
Yeah, I think Sammy would have been hurt a little bit if he would have lost.
Exactly. I think his popularity and his stock increased with that match. Which
is weird, unless the good guy is champion. Usually stories don't end with the good guy winning. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, just think about that. I've been watching. Yeah, I've been watching through. Raw, and I'm at like 2000, like halfway July or August of 2000, and everything that I've seen, it's like, wow, most of the time, usually the bad guy wins the story. I don't know. Anyways, getting back to Raw, what was next? Neville?
Yeah, Curtis Axel came out, and they were calling him Mr. Irrelevant. I don't follow NFL, but I guess or NBA or whatever, but the last person to be drafted in professional sports
is called Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant. So that's what they're calling Curtis Axel for being the last draft pick. And he come out and saying how he's not Mr. Irrelevant. He is saving the best for last, and that kind of business.
Yep.
And Neville had his return match. against him. Neville wins. Neville won that match, unsurprisingly.
Right.
He's looking just as good as he did when he went out.
He's
also got a beard, so.
Yeah, so he looks better. I was actually looking down at my phone at the very beginning of the match, or the beginning of Neville's entrance, I should say. And I looked up, and he was in the ring already. You know how he runs down. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Thank God they get rid of that stupid cape." And Savannah says to me, "No, you just didn't see him. He took the cape off already." So I think he's trying to I don't think he likes the cape. I wouldn't like the cape either.
So he just comes out with it and gets
He comes out and he's "Bye, cape."
So, yeah, Neville wins that. I'm glad to see him back. And then...
Match of the night.
Yeah, biggest match of the night was the WWE Women's Championship match. Sasha Banks finally got her shot against Charlotte.
I don't know... After everything that happened, we posted the link of the end of this on the Nerd Buffet Facebook page. If you didn't get to see it, and if you don't have access to watch all of Raw, please at least watch this clip. Go to our page, like it, share it with your friends if they like wrestling. The one and only disappointment of this, why is this not the main event of the night?
Yeah, I just think Raw is scared to put women's...
it works for NXT.
It does work for NXT. It's a much smaller audience. I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to rationalize why WWE didn't put it as a championship. Because if they want to bring prestige to the women's title, it should have been the main event.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Yep. But it was still, that's the only way I can bring it down a peg, because this match was awesome. There was, again, so much storytelling in it with Dana.
Yeah, Dana Brooke, I don't understand how it wasn't a DQ at the very beginning. She grabbed Sasha's leg.
Yeah, and the ref's
like, "Hey, you, don't do that again." I'm like, "You disqualified Miz for pay-per-view for less."
You looked at Backlund. He looked in his general direction, and
so that was interesting to me. And then Sasha did some trickery of her own and got Dana expelled from ringside.
She pulled Eddie Guerrero. I forgot about that. Was it a chair that she did?
No, it was the title belt.
It was the title belt. You're right. She fell down. She was and through the belt to Dana, and Dana catches it.
Yeah, Charlotte brought it out because they were both on the ring, outside on the ring side. And Charlotte brings out the title belt and is like, "This is mine. You'll never get it," and she's putting it in her face, and then she ends up dropping it because Sasha reverses a move or whatever, hits her, kicks the belt out of her hand. Right, what happens. And then Dana Brooke comes over while the ref is distracted, and she throws the belt at her, and Dana catches it, and she falls down like, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets her expelled from ringside instead of disqualified, which I don't understand. Again,
it's fine,
but it's fine. So then it's finally 1-on-1 with Sasha versus Charlotte, and there was a lot of good spots in this match. Charlotte had an excellent moonsault from inside to outside of the ring.
Yes,
we hardly ever see women put their lives on the line. You know what I'm saying?
She did put her life on the line with that one, especially because she had a. Was that the Undertaker landing? She did during that match. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Was that the match when there was the Undertaker landing when he dove? Was it WrestleMania against Edge when he pulled the cameraman in the way? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Undertaker did the suicide dive out and just landed straight on his head.
No, she didn't land on her head.
I'm thinking of a different match, maybe.
But she got up on the corner of the ring and did a moonsault to the outside of the ring.
Okay, yeah.
Which I thought was an awesome spot. But like I said, you hardly ever see women doing that kind of stuff. Right.
Yeah. The match ended with
two bank statements.
Yeah, yep. There was a bank statement, and then she made her tap out. It was pretty cool.
She had the first bank statement, and Charlotte got her way to the ropes.
Yes.
And then she pulled her off of the ropes, did the backstabber, and then rolled into the bank statement again.
Yes.
And made her tap finally.
Yep.
And
pretty big moment. Foley said online that he admitted for Triple H that Triple H was crying during the whole thing, because this was one of the few people that since the beginning of the new NXT, if you want to call it that, since the network started, he's watched her grow
since Triple H has been in charge of
he's watched her grow, and finally she's got to realize her her true calling, and I think among all the NXT has brought to us, one of the most important things is the women's wrestling movement.
They brought up a lot of women who actually know how to wrestle
instead of just look good.
Yeah. And I'm not discounting women wrestlers of the past.
No.
The Trish Stratus and Lita, excellent wrestlers, but there have been their fair share of women wrestlers who
fair share of Kellys along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I guess is the best way to put it.
That's a good way to put it. After that match, we had the Braun Strowman squash match we talked about earlier. Shout out to James Ellsworth as the guy that got killed.
Another good meme I saw. Check it out. I think it's on my Facebook page personally. It's like the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, and
like Undertaker, Hulk Hogan,
James, whatever his name is, The Rock.
Anyway. And then after that, we kind of had I'd say a throwaway match, but I can't really say a throwaway match because Enzo and Cass were part of it.
Yep.
Enzo and Cass against Primo and Epico, the shining stars of Puerto Rico.
And you're exactly right. You can't call it a throwaway match because it was another showcase of how good Enzo and Cass are doing anything they want to do.
Mm-hmm. That match was interesting because all night, Golden Truth, R-Truth, and Goldust were playing Pokemon Go.
Yep, through the backstage segments.
They went, Sasha Banks was offended that she thought they were taking a picture of her.
He was taking a Pikachu, and she's like, what are you doing? You ain't taking a peek at me. No, it's a Pikachu on you.
They caught something on Bob Backlund's tie.
Bob Backlund freaked out. I think there's something, I don't think that's a character. I think there's something literally wrong with Bob Backlund. He's like a scary old man, war vet type of person. I don't know.
So, anyway, in the middle of this match, R-Truth just walks through the middle of the ring with his phone in his hand, catching Pokemon. Yeah. And one of the shining stars, can't tell you the difference between Primo and Epico, is distracted.
Racist.
It's not racist. I just don't know them.
Yeah, they're just not good, so you don't care about them. I get it. I'm the same way.
So yeah, one of them's distracted, letting Enzo, I think, get the win, get the pin on it.
Yep.
And then our main event finally, you have Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns for an opportunity to face Seth Rollins at SummerSlam for the WWE Universal Championship. What did you think of that match?
Oh man, it was awesome. Seeing the back and forth and not knowing who was going to win the match. Although I really felt like it was going to be Finn the entire time.
Knowing in your brain that you think your brain's going, Roman's going to win this, but your heart wants Finn to win it.
And it was the first time in a long time that I knew there was not going to be shenanigans in such a high-capacity match. Because I knew no matter what, we were going to get a definitive winner because both of them were faces, and I didn't see any of them turning that night, right? So knowing that, I knew, like you said, my heart really wanted Finn to get his spot, and I thought that's probably what would happen. But then on second thought, Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. So he was going to win because it's Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he got so handily beat in the center of the ring, I mean, there was no shenanigans. There was nothing. Going back to that,
it was a really good match for these two to fight each other. I'm sure they fought each other before in NXT or FCW or no. Finn wasn't in FCW. Did they fight each other in NXT at all?
I don't know that I've never seen the two of them fight.
So this may be the first time that they face each other, and for being the first time, it was a really good match.
It was very good.
Like you said, it was really something you really couldn't tell who was going to be victorious at the end.
And of course, Finn won, which was not as equivalent, but on a Monday Night Raw scale, it was kind of like when The Undertaker got beat by Brock Lesnar. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, he won! He beat him!"
Except everyone wasn't shocked; they were excited.
Yeah.
Everyone was, "Oh yes!"
happy that it happened instead of mad.
Thank God.
Instead of saying, "God, why WWE? What have you done?"
So this opens up a bunch of opportunities. Roman walked away, and they interviewed him right after the match.
That's something I really like about the new Raws.
And also on SmackDown.
And SmackDown. We didn't point it out, but the announce tables are in completely different areas. Kind of like comparable to...
Old WCW.
Yeah, old WCW. They were there, like Tony Schiavone and that crew. I couldn't name all the announcers. That's the only one I could name.
But yeah, then they have someone come down. A lot of the times, I've noticed, I think 3 times on Raw, come down and do a post-match interview right there in the ring or ringside. And who was it? Was it not Tom Phelps. What's his name?
Tom Phillips.
Tom Phillips.
Yeah.
Came down and interviewed Roman. And Roman said, I hope he beats Seth Rollins. I really respect that dude.
Oh, man, I was so hoping he would have been like, screw that guy, and like knocked down Tom and picked up a ladder or a chair.
I was hoping for that too. I was hoping for the turn there.
I thought it would have been a good time to do it with the new first episode of Raw, with the first episode of the new Raw. But hey, I still thought, like I said, at least maybe if I thought back to it, maybe it's not the best episode of Raw ever. It's really hard to say. It was an excellent episode, and most definitely the best 3-hour episode of Raw that I've ever seen.
Best episode of this year, probably.
Oh yeah, and undoubtedly this year.
Yeah.
Our opinions, because our opinions are more important than anybody else's opinions.
The most.
Oh, we're rolling. Oh no. So on to SmackDown Live, which is what it's called now. So if you say just SmackDown anymore,
you're wrong.
Absolutely wrong. SmackDown Live. Unless we make the mistake, then it's fine.
Unless we say just SmackDown. And then let it be known we mean SmackDown Live.
Yes. We started off similarly to Raw. The first thing that Shane kind of said, and I think he said it a little bit early because Daniel Bryan was like, we'll get to that. He kind of gave him a look. But Shane said on, I want to say September 11th or that weekend or something, will be the first SmackDown only pay-per-view. Backlash is actually what that's going to be. But to start off, we are going to have a big match to see who fights Dean Ambrose for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And Daniel Bryan did say World Heavyweight Championship, which was like, come on, Daniel. Get on the game.
Maybe they get to call it the World Heavyweight Championship now that they're...
I hope so. I think maybe they were confused on what they were going to do with the other title. And maybe they decided last minute. But they were going to have a battle royale with 6 guys. I'll get to those 6 guys later because we're going to
battle royale is to see who qualifies to be the last of the 6 guys.
They're going to have a 6-pack challenge at the end of the match, or at the end of the night. We'll get to that because I want it to be a surprise because it's a pretty good lineup here. But they named 5 guys at the very beginning of the show, and so they said, "You probably know that we didn't have 6 guys named here. That's because we're going to have a battle royale to see who fights in this match." So they had a battle royale with everyone who wasn't named.
Almost everyone. If they already had a match, they didn't. Randy.
Oh Orton. Yeah, I guess Miz and Randy Orton and like other people like that didn't necessarily fight. But it was a battle royale. I don't know that I've ever seen a battle royale on Raw or SmackDown that was enjoyable. Quite frankly, I loved the Royal Rumble every year, even if it ends sucky. But I don't know. Battle Royale is just always boring because it's always predictable.
And they always start with everyone in the ring, too.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So you can't really follow what's going on right away. And you know what 4 or 5 guys it's going to come down to.
Yeah. So, of course, it ended, and Apollo Crews was our winner.
But Zack Ryder was top 3.
Yeah. Thank God for Zack Ryder.
It came down between him, Zack Ryder, Kane, and Apollo Crews.
Yep. Not much more to say about that yet. Hopefully, because I think that was the only time we saw Zack Ryder that night. Hopefully, we see more with him, and if we're not going to do a SmackDown versus Raw with him going for Rusev's title, hopefully we see him against The Miz.
Yeah, I'd really like to see him in the Intercontinental
get his title back that for some reason he won at WrestleMania and then lost immediately after.
I don't get it. I don't get that at all, but that's another story.
We had another Becky Lynch versus Natalya match, of course, a rematch from Battleground on Sunday. This time, instead of Natalya winning, Becky won by submission. Again, not a big fan of this rivalry for some reason or another, but I was a big fan of what happened afterwards.
Yeah, this match, I believe, was just a big setup for the women division on SmackDown Live.
Yes.
Because as soon as the match was over, Becky was celebrating. They came in to interview her. Becky, you got vindication. What do you think? And then Alexa Bliss came out to interrupt her.
And I like to see that.
And then Cameron came out, right?
Yeah, and Cameron came out, and then Carmella came out, and then interrupting Carmella was the most ridiculous entrance that I have ever seen.
I love Eva Marie's entrance, just the announcer guy. Everyone hates Eva Marie, and I think she's coming into it not like Roman should.
Like Roman should, yeah. Just being like, hate me, but I'm the best. I'm great.
Yeah. So this announcer's just full of herself, like basically like introducing the most beautiful, best wrestling woman in the world. All read everything.
All read everything.
It went on for like 5 minutes. This announcer just touting her up, and then she comes out, doesn't say a word, but just opens her robe for everyone.
And just shows her body. That's it. Just like hot. I'm hot, I'm hot, I'm hot, I'm hot, I'm hot, look at me. So, I don't have DVR, otherwise I'd pause. It wasn't long enough. To commercial. And then we had, and it's to compare to, before we go on, SmackDown wasn't that great compared to Raw.
No, it was still a really good SmackDown.
Yeah.
I feel SmackDowns are going to get better in the time to come.
I hope so.
I don't think they have the time. The Raw gets 3 hours, and SmackDown Live only gets 2.
Yeah.
So they kind of got to pace themselves a little bit more.
So we had The Miz versus Randy Orton in I call it a squash match.
I don't think it was a squash match.
It was a very decisive match.
Yeah, it was very one-sided.
Randy wins, and we'll refrain from calling it a squash match, but a very one-sided match. I don't even want to spend any time on this because I don't care about either guy. I wish I could care more about The Miz because I really actually do like The Miz. I just don't care about Randy Orton. I thought it was ridiculous that Randy Orton on the pay-per-view, I think it was on the pay-per-view, he talked a little bit of smack about Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. And the whole fact that Brock Lesnar had failed the drug test. If anybody doesn't get a free pass to make fun of people for drugs, it's Randy Orton.
That's absolutely correct.
Had you ever thought of that?
I didn't think of that until now. To be fair, Orton never was taking performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah, he's just taking
mood-enhancing drugs.
Right.
So yeah, but I never did think of that. That's funny, though. But he does kind of need to get some heat or some rivalry going because it did come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Much like an RKO.
Oh, whoa. My God.
Burn. Spitting fire over here. But anyway.
Speaking of spitting fire, we had old firehead Heath Slater.
Heath Slater, not drafted. The hottest free agent.
Hottest fire free agent. I wrote down in the notes that Heath Slater was murdered by Rhino because that's what happened.
I have a feeling that this is how we're going to introduce free agents or new hires to Raw and SmackDown.
Just have Heath Slater be
come
like,
out and be like, I'm the number one, draft me, sign me, and then on Raw next week,
and they're
MVP
like,
is going to come out.
Yeah, okay, as long as you turn around and look that way, just nonchalantly and.
But yeah, I think that's on Raw. We're going to introduce someone, MVP, or someone who's coming back, is going to come out and kill Heath Slater.
I could see that. So, of course, our main event, it was a six-pack challenge. 1 pinfall, 6 men. Triple threat rules, no DQ, I don't think.
I've never heard it called a 6-pack challenge.
That's what they called it. Six-pack challenge to me is...
like Edward 40 Hands, but with a 6-pack.
Or with tacos.
6-pack in a pound.
Yeah, that's a 6-pack challenge, but that's not much of a challenge for me. Look at me. So our 6 competitors, of course, Apollo Crews had
earned his way.
Yep. So we had John Cena, we had AJ Styles, We had Bray Wyatt, who was donning like a new kind of suit thing. That looked pretty cool. I hope he wears that more often. I hope that becomes part of his attire. Baron Corbin, I'm really glad he was in this match. And Dolph Ziggler. Did you think Ziggler would be in this?
I saw Ziggler being in it. That didn't surprise me at all. That he was in the match.
But continue on with that thought.
It did surprise me that Dolph Ziggler ended up winning the match.
Absolutely. I think everyone was surprised. I was laying down, like almost falling asleep at the end of Smackdown, and I was watching it still. I wasn't falling asleep yet, but when I saw him get the pin and win, my blanket flew off of the couch, and I like did a dead like Undertaker sit up, like what? Dolph Ziggler won. Dolph Ziggler's in the tournament. Like, I was so happy to see that Ziggler won, because you know that this isn't just a little thing, especially with his promo that he had. Mm-hmm. Another cool thing with the production value that they added up is each guy had like a 30-second segment.
Yeah, where they got to talk about what the new era means to them and what this opportunity means to them.
And Ziggler's promo stood above, like head and shoulders above everyone else's, because he talked about how he's a 2 or 3 time heavyweight champion, mm-hmm. and then he just kind of disappeared and faded. And then you go to the Survivor Series 2 years ago, and you thought, Ziggler's coming back. He just beat like 4 guys by himself. Nope, Sting got all that rush, mm-hmm. and all that momentum. So maybe this is the time that that Ziggler really does come back and we get to see him be somebody. Ziggler's problem for years has been that he just looks too darn good losing.
Yeah, he's excellent at selling moves, making people look good is his problem. He makes people look too damn good. Something else we didn't mention, Shelton Benjamin had a vignette.
Oh my God, yeah.
Shelton Benjamin's coming back. Ain't no stopping him. Yo.
No. I don't know that it set a date on when he's coming back.
No, just it's coming soon. Also, American Alpha in action next week on SmackDown, which I was disappointed we didn't get to see him this week, but we have
something to look forward to.
Yeah, we have a lot to happen on SmackDown, but not a whole lot of time. And
there were people that weren't even used for the show, wasn't there?
There's quite a few people because it's only the 2 hours. We had a bunch of those people wrestling twice, you know. Mm-hmm. So,
I guess that'll bring us up to NXT. Tell me about NXT.
NXT, I really wasn't.
We're not going to do much of a play-by-play of NXT because
I really wasn't impressed a whole lot by NXT. I was kind of bored actually with it. No Way Jose carries on his fight with Austin Aries.
Woohoo! No Way Jose.
My biggest surprise of NXT was Kota Ibushi.
Kota Ibushi.
Who's in the Cruiserweight Challenge, had a match on NXT against Blake Murphy, I think.
Yeah. To be fair, Cruiserweight Classic.
What'd I say?
Challenge.
Yeah. Sorry. Cruiserweight Classic.
Not WrestleMania Challenge. He's thinking the NES games.
But yeah, the Cruiserweight Classic competitor, Kota Ibushi, had a match against Blake Murphy and won.
Really? That's good. I admittedly, I didn't watch NXT this week. Wait, there's my finger. Shame.
But that was the big match for me, and the big announcement is Shinsuke Nakamura is going to fight Samoa Joe at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn.
Nice. So lastly this week we had the CWC Cruiserweight Classic. What did you think of this week's? Because myself, I thought this was probably the weakest show so far, unfortunately.
After SmackDown Live and Raw earlier this week, it did seem to be the weakest of the shows. Which is a change from the last previous weeks, where I thought it was the best out of the shows.
Yeah.
So that's a change. It still wasn't bad. It just didn't have like the big spots and the exciting matches like the first week, especially, and even the second week.
True.
First match we had was Zack Sabre Jr., who I've heard a lot about but never seen him wrestle.
Yeah.
Versus Tyson Dukes. I didn't realize Tyson Dukes, say he was 38 years old. Almost 40.
He was older, yeah.
He doesn't look it, but
I didn't know a single one of the guys that were fighting just before.
I've heard of Sabre Jr. and Brian Kendrick.
Oh yeah, I guess. Sorry about that. I forgot about Brian Kendrick's match.
But yeah, it was. Zack Sabre Jr. has an interesting wrestling style.
Yeah.
Where he is very technical, chaining holds together.
That was the only interesting thing in that match, though.
Yeah.
Was like sliding in and out of moves.
Yeah. And it wasn't really something the audience could follow. I didn't feel.
No.
It was kind of like Daniel Bryan even said, the audience really can't see what's going on, but as a wrestler, you appreciate this. And I don't know. I like to see him wrestle someone who matches his style, like T.J. Perkins.
Oh yeah, because they could go in and out of the technical moves back and forth.
Unlike with T.J. Perkins, when he was doing his technical moves, you could see what he was doing.
Yeah.
And the audience was like, oh. Well,
it was more grandioso than what we were
Sabre
seeing
Jr. Sabre Jr. ended up winning that match via tap out.
What is going on?
One of my animals is dying.
Oh, that's fine. As long as it's not Carver.
We'll have supper later then.
Good.
So anyway, match number 2 was Drew Gulak versus Harv Shearer, one of the Bollywood boys, the youngest Bollywood boy. And this was probably my second favorite match of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Gulak is a submission guy, and Harv Shearer is more of the high-flying, show-off type of guy. Gulak pretty much owned Shearer in this.
Yeah.
Pretty much hands down won. Again, won via submission. A lot of submission matches. A lot of guys favor the submission holds in this.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
CWC.
Again, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but this night really was pretty lackluster for me.
Mm-hmm.
We had Tony Nese. I like Tony Nese. He defeated Anthony Bennett.
I like Tony Nese a lot, too. This is my favorite match of the night, I think. Tony Nese is built. I mean, he is just chiseled for being a short guy.
Specimen of a man, yeah.
Yeah, he is a house made of bricks that you take a bathroom in.
Oh, poops.
But
PG-13.
But Anthony Bennett, I didn't like him. He wears sunglasses on his hair.
If he didn't wear those extra pair of sunglasses, I think I'd been into him.
Yeah, it's just kind of, and he's a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's got some work to do. Tony Nese defeated him.
Tony Nese, spot on. He was one of the, like you said, he was one of the better guys. He was the standout of the night out of everybody for me. And I want to see him fight some of the people we saw the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, and we will.
Of course.
Yeah. Going on the second round. I don't know who his opponent is for the second round. I don't know if they figured that out yet or not, where he's at on the bracket. I'm going to have to print out a bracket so I know where everyone's at.
Yeah, that'd be pretty nice if we could get something going on with that. Of course, we had the Brian Kendrick versus Raul Mendoza.
Mendoza, Lucha Libre wrestler, doesn't wear a mask.
Right.
Says he's too pretty for a mask. He wears braces too, so he does seem kind of a vain guy. He's like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Goes on to with his character. Brian Kendrick was pulling all of the heel moves during this match. And a buddy of mine, our friend Seth, that we mention a lot, we'd like to get Seth on one of these episodes sometime. But I didn't get to see this live last night because we had Ragbri going on in Centerville, so there was all that chaos and fun. But Tom and Seth were both watching it live, I think. And Seth texted me and said that Brian Kendrick did not look good. At first, I thought that he was talking about the wrestling, which now that I've actually watched it too, I know he wasn't talking about the wrestling. He was talking about Brian Kendrick not looking good as a human being. He's not pretty.
Last time we saw Brian Kendrick was 15 years ago or something.
It's crazy to say that because it seems like, 4 years ago, maybe.
Probably more realistically, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
He was last in a WWE ring, I think. But he was a lot younger, you know, and now he's got some age about him. He's kind of got that old man, like this. You've seen...
I think, realistically, I think actually 8 years ago, so 10 isn't really far off of what you're thinking.
Have you ever seen, like a strong old man You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Kind of wiry.
They used to be built, but like then their old age took over. But they're still strong.
Yeah,
you don't want to fight them.
Yeah, just kind of wiry. That's what he kind of reminded me of. But he
looks like if E.T. to me, this I thought anyway. I don't know why. If E.T. grew his hair long and he like worked out a little bit, that's what Brian Kendrick looked like to me. I don't know why. Just think what you will about me, but that's what I thought Brian Kendrick looked like.
It was enough body shaming on that.
I mean, I'm not. Look at me.
But yeah, it was a pretty good match, I think. Mendoza did a pretty awesome coast to coast. If I was Morello, I'd be shades of Shane McMahon, you know.
Right.
But,
as you pointed out, Mauro Ranallo is the best guy in the game with play-by-play, if you want to say play-by-play commentary, whatever you want to call it, color commentary, whatever you want to say, call it. He's the best at doing it, but he keeps saying shades of. It's
kind of a crutch for him, but it's fine. He's still the best.
Equivalent to Michael Cole's vintage.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, the coast to coast was awesome. Brian Kendrick pretty much cheated his way to victory, though.
Oh, it was fine, yeah, because he looked at the end of the match. Once he started doing his little Brian Kendrick dance, I was like, okay, he doesn't look as scary anymore. He now looks like Brian Kendrick again to me.
He came out kind of with a story of something to prove, being the old guy with something to prove.
And then he cheated. Like everyone was like, "Oh, he's gonna be an underdog and an old man and a good guy." Nope, not a good guy.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan was very biased in his commentary for Brian Kendrick. He's like, "Come on, Brian, come on,"
because both he and Brian Kendrick have a very strong tie to Shawn Michaels. And
to each other.
Thus to each other, right.
Because their first ever professional match was against each other.
Absolutely.
So that's the CWC for this week.
And that's also this week in WWE.
This week in WWE. Next week is the last of the first round matches for CWC.
Mm-hmm.
We got Raw and SmackDown. Was there anything big announced for Raw and SmackDown this week?
Man, not off the top of my head. Not after remembering everything that happened in a week.
Just, I know American Alpha is scheduled to compete on SmackDown.
Shelton Benjamin's first appearance.
Maybe.
We've got, feels like something big was happening on Raw. Oh, Brock Lesnar's going to be on Raw.
Oh, yeah, Brock Lesnar.
That's what it was. So, I mean, you can never discount that. I am really going to be surprised if we see SummerSlam happen again with my bias. I'm going to be really surprised with last year happening if we don't see The Undertaker. Some sort of appearance of The Undertaker. I know last year was, the 20th or 25th anniversary of him, so of course he had all those matches.
And he debuted at SummerSlam, right?
Right.
So,
but why not?
I'd like to see something with that Undertaker, but...
And Roman. Oh...
I don't know.
My ideas. Oh, Undertaker and Roman. There you go. Right there. That's an idea. WWE, free of charge. That's a great idea for SummerSlam. So that's going to wrap it up for this week in wrestling. We're going to be putting out a video very soon. Probably going to be throwing out some more video game videos. Whatever we're calling them. I'm not really sure.
Let's Play Buffet.
Let's Play Buffet, yes. And of course, this Sunday you'll have a new episode of the Nerd Buffet podcast. With that, we're actually going down to Missouri. The place is closing up, Hastings. It's a very large nerd store, and we're sad to see it go. But we're going to try to get some video footage in there.
Some deals.
Also, in the next couple weeks, there is a pretty big interview that we set up. For those of you who don't know, Walter Day, we're actually going to be interviewing Walter Day at the video game.
Yep, that's Icon 2016.
Icon 2016. We'll be there with Walter Day, so be on the lookout. He's a pretty big celebrity for the video game world.
Yeah.
So with that, I've been Jake.
And I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite sore on a Citadel.
Shepard.